This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into another episode of Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Monday, September 12th, and we're so glad you could join us here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. In today's show, we will have a chance to speak with Geoff Cooper of the Renewable Fuels Association. He's the president and CEO and will tell us about everything that's happening right now in the exciting world of renewable fuels. And we will also take a look at the ag weather recap. But first, let's wrap up things with the ag market recap.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined now by Robin Schmahl from agmarket.net to talk things over with the markets today. Robin, what did you see on the grain markets?
Well, it was pretty exciting today. We had the World Supply and Demand report come out, and there were a few unexpected things that developed on that report, which, initially corn kind of chopped around and at first after the numbers started coming out, but soybeans really led the charge higher. Unexpected drop in yield and production, which tightened ending stocks. But wheat moved in the other direction. Just couldn't keep up because the report on wheat really wasn't that much of a market mover, and so traders were a little disappointed. But in the corn side, we saw USDA decrease yield by 2.9 bushels to the acre, bringing the production to 13.944 billion bushels. Now, that wasn't that far out of what expectations were as far as yield is concerned. It was right on, but the production was lower than the analyst or trade analyst estimates were. So put a little bit of support under that market. Now, we did see the ending stocks projected for next year at 1.219 billion bushels. The trade was expecting 1.217, so nothing really large there. However, when we're looking at that decrease in yield, we're looking at that production, brings our stocks to use ratio down a lot closer. And so now we're looking at, okay, these are projections, but historically, 70% of the time when they reduce the yields on this report, then by the the January report, the final January report, we see further reductions. Now, it's 70% of the time. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it is a potential. And some of the yields that we're hearing about right now are somewhat disappointing. Now we go to the soybeans. They actually reduced the acreage, or not acreage, but they reduced the yield per acre by 1.4 bushels. That was a surprise. There were a lot of anticipation that maybe we could be adding some more bushels to the soybeans with some of these rains we had later, but certainly not a 1.4 bushel decrease in yield per acre. Now, the average trade estimate was 51.40. So you can see how much of a shock that was to the market at putting production at 4.378 billion bushels. That's down 153 million bushels. And then we're looking at ending stocks at 200 million. Now, this is for the 2022-23 crop year, which is what we're going to be harvesting here. So we have to make sure that we have that straight. The average trade expectations are 247 million bushels on a carryover. So we brought it down to 200 million, or USDA's estimates did, down 47 million bushels. So, or 45 million bushels from the last time, down from 247, what the trade estimated. So that really propelled the soybeans. I mean, we moved soybeans up, about 70 cents at one point, close to 70 cents. They're closing very strong. Corn up around 10 cents, not quite as much Volatility has been present through that market. Now, wheat is actually lower. That's down in the teens. That numbers were fairly benign as far as ending stocks are concerned. USDA is expecting harvest for wheat next year of 1.783 billion bushels. So it wasn't a whole lot that took place in that standpoint. So we did see some volatility. Of course, the soybean market being up as strong as up. We saw soybean meals shoot significantly higher. Soybean oils shoot significantly higher. So we're setting the stage for some trading here in the near term, at least until we get more evidence from some of that harvesting that's going on. So we could potentially set ourselves up for higher prices yet, based on what historical potential is and based on what we're seeing here as far as yields are concerned. And then if we throw in that potential railroad strike on Friday, if nothing's done, we're going to see just a lot of volatility in this grain market.
Robin, what was the story today on the livestock side?
Well, livestock, we did not see a lot of movement in live cattle. The trade is waiting to see what's going to happen because we saw lower cash the last couple of weeks. There's some anticipation that packers are short bought. However, last week they did commit 28% of the purchases of cattle to deferred contracts, which was a little bit higher than what was anticipated. So that's just kind of in limbo. However, the feeder cattle were direct pressure from the higher grain prices. They were down triple-digit losses, just coming in off of that, how it moves in correlation to that. But when we looked at the World Supply and Demand report on that, we saw some friendly things for cattle. On the beef side, we looked at a 16 million pound increase as far as production is concerned. Well, we've had some strong chain speeds. They've been running a lot of cattle through, and so we're looking at an increase of 16 million pounds that are going to be coming through for this year's production. And then on the price side for steers, they raised the price from August by $3 a hundredweight. And so we're looking at an average right now for the fourth quarter of $147, which is $4 higher than what we're looking at for third quarter, which is $143 on the third quarter. So that's supportive to that market. That pushed the average up for the year up 70 cents a pound. Not a lot, but it is showing with our current market environment, current inflationary situation, and we are looking at making some more progress as far as beef is concerned. Now, noon on the beef, we were up with choice cuts at $2.12. Select was down 74 cents. When we look at the hogs, they were not quite as good coming off the World Supply and Demand report. They did show 55 million pounds more production this year than what we had in the August report, but the price was not friendly. We saw a $6 decline in third quarter price from the August report. And then when we look at the price for the fourth quarter from the current estimate for third quarter, it's down $14, down to $65 a hundredweight. So the hogs were did not gain a lot of support off of the World Supply and Demand report relative to what the cattle did. Now you have to remember these are estimates. A lot of things can change, but they are picking up on some chain speed in hogs, but we're just not seeing the packers buying very aggressive at this point in time. However, at midday report, we are seeing cutouts up $3.53. So that was very positive, at least for the midday report coming into the beginning of the week.
Robin, thanks so much for the market analysis. For our viewers who would like to get in touch, how can they do so?
And give me a call directly at 256-3253, or they can go online to agmarket.net. We have the phone number on there, other contact information. We'd be glad to hear from you.
He's Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. Robin, thanks once again for our market analysis here today, and we'll look forward to speaking with you again soon.
All right. Thank you for having me on.
That was Robin Schmahl from agmarket.net. It's time now to take a look at the closing numbers brought to you by the folks at Bar Chart.
December corn up 11 even at 696 even. November soybeans up 76 even at 1488 and a quarter. Soybean meal for October up 25 cents at 439.80. Soybean oil for October up $1.66 at 68.34. Chicago wheat down 12 even at 841 and a quarter. Minneapolis wheat down 1 even at 926 and a half. And Kansas hard red wheat is up 8 even at 937 and a quarter. September oats up 16 3/4 at 424 and a half. Live cattle for October up 7 cents at 145.75. September feeder cattle down $1.47 at 181.52. Lean hogs for October down $1.30 at 91.87. Pork cutouts for October down $1 even at 101.95, and Class 3 milk for September is up 9 cents at $19.88.
That's been a check of our ag market recap. We're going to take a short break now and hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soybean Checkoff. And when we come back, I will be visiting with Geoff Cooper of the Renewable Fuels Association. He's the president and CEO and will tell us what's going on right now in the world of renewable fuels.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to AM/PM here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today, I have the chance to speak with Geoff Cooper from the Renewable Fuels Association. He is president and CEO and will fill us in on the latest happenings in the world of renewable biofuels.
Mark Magnuson with the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm here with Geoff Cooper. He is the president and CEO of the Renewable Fuels Association. Geoff, what is new and exciting right now in the world of renewable fuels? What are you excited to talk to people about here on a great event like the Farm Progress Show?
Well, we have a lot of exciting news going on in the ethanol world this summer. We've seen just a lot of positive progress on a number of fronts for the industry. And I think perhaps the biggest news this summer, and really what put us on the national stage, was obviously everybody was experiencing record high gas prices this summer. And it really gave us an opportunity to show the public and show consumers that ethanol helps save them money every time they pull up to the pump. The lowest cost fuel option at any gas station across the U.S. this summer was the fuel blend with the most ethanol in it. So in a place like Iowa, you find E85, you find E15. It was typically offered at significant savings to regular gasoline, and we saw that across the country this summer. And I think it really helped raise awareness about the benefits, the economic benefits of using ethanol, and that's been a positive story for us this summer.
And have you and the RFA found that this summer, that drivers that maybe didn't even consider ethanol as an option before this summer said, this is pretty good for my wallet?
Absolutely. We've seen record demand in terms of ethanol's use as a share of gasoline this summer. And it is because people who didn't previously consider E15 or didn't even know they could use E85, when they drive past a station and they see that lowest price on the marquee is the ethanol, the high ethanol blend, that caused a lot of people to stop and question whether they can use this fuel. And in the case of E15, nearly every car on the road today is legally approved to use E15, and so we've seen sales of E15 really growing this summer, and same with E85. We've seen E85 oftentimes priced $1 below regular gasoline, and that causes people to stop and ask, hey, do I drive a flex fuel vehicle? Can I use this fuel? And for, roughly 1 out of 10 people, the answer is yes.
And, it's pretty clear if you have the vehicle manual or whatever it may be to find out if you have an E85 vehicle. But just for anyone that might be wondering, What is the best way to say, hey, is my vehicle acceptable for E85 fuel?
Yeah, typically the easiest way is to look at the gas cap. That tends to be the fastest indicator. Flex fuel vehicles often have that yellow gas cap, and it'll say right on there, this is a flex fuel vehicle that can use E85. The owner's manual that's in the glove box typically indicates that as well. And, most flex fuel vehicles used to have that badge on the back that identified them as FFVs. Some of the automakers in more recent years have gotten away from including those badges, and so the gas cap or the owner's manual is the fastest and most reliable way to tell.
Geoff, where are we at with the renewable fuel standard?
Yeah, so the RFS we feel like is finally back on track. The EPA is finally implementing that program in the way that Congress intended. We've had a rough go the last several years. We've had EPA giving exemptions to small refineries and letting them out of their obligations to blend ethanol and other renewable fuels. But after some court cases and some other things, and just a kind of a recommitment from this administration to the program, we've seen the RFS really helping drive demand and growth in the industry, and that's what the law was intended to do.
Geoff, I know that here in the Midwest, I think we're pretty knowledgeable about ethanol, at least in terms of being aware of it and knowing that it has some benefits. But is that always a constant battle to just try and make sure that that's a nationwide push for some of that knowledge?
It is a constant battle, and one of the things that we do on a daily basis is just education and awareness. You're right. You come to the Farm Progress Show, most people here, they are educated on ethanol, but you go to the coasts, particularly the East Coast, they don't have a lot of knowledge or understanding of what ethanol is, what its benefits are, the process to produce it, where it comes from. So it is an uphill battle that we continue to face in just educating the public. And we've found that if you can get even 5 minutes of somebody's time and get their attention for a few minutes and explain the benefits of ethanol, it's an easy sell. It's a good product, and it's not hard to convince people of the benefits if you just are able to find, just a minute of their time to explain to them.
Do you find that people too are a little bit surprised sometimes about the sustainability aspect of it and just the environmental impacts and how it can be beneficial?
That is an area that is obviously growing in importance for most consumers, and I think it is surprising for many to learn that ethanol is really the lowest carbon liquid fuel available today. And so when you're using those higher blends like E15 or E85, not only are you saving money, but you are reducing tailpipe emissions, and that includes greenhouse gas emissions, but it also includes emissions of pollutants that lead to heart disease and cancer and respiratory problems. So there is a good environmental story as well with these higher ethanol blends, and again, it gives us a chance to educate the public about that.
At an event like Farm Progress, when you get to interact with a lot of the public, what's some of the questions that people are asking you the most?
Yeah, one of the things we continue to hear is about, what impact is E85 going to have on my fuel economy? Because it is true that E85 contains less energy content than regular gasoline. But again, we say the thing to look at is the cost per mile. And so you might lose 5 or 10% fuel economy, less reduced mileage. But if you're spending 20 or 25% less per gallon, you're coming out on top in terms of fuel economy and your cost per mile. That's one of the questions we continue to hear. We also are hearing a lot of questions about what's next for ethanol. And one of the things that we're very excited about is the prospect of using ethanol as the building block for sustainable aviation fuel. And that's a big priority of this administration, and we see a huge opportunity for ethanol to be that key ingredient in renewable aviation fuel moving forward.
And if that were to come about, is that something that's coming down the pipeline quickly? Is that still a ways in the future? Yeah,
it's a longer term opportunity. There are some investments that have already been made, kind of looking at building the facilities that would be needed to make ethanol to jet fuel. But we're talking probably 5 to 10 years before we'd see that development really have a significant impact on the ethanol marketplace.
Geoff, is there anything else that you'd like to let our viewers and listeners know about when it comes to renewable fuels, and again, what's exciting you right now about them?
Well, we just see a very bright future for ethanol and other renewable fuels, and I know there's a lot of news and a lot of headlines today about electrification and electric vehicles, but look, there are 270 million vehicles in this country. You're not going to electrify this nation's automotive fleet overnight. We're going to be using liquid fuels and internal combustion engines for decades to come. And so we think there's going to continue to be growth opportunities for ethanol, both in the light duty vehicle fleet, but also in things like aviation and even heavy duty, trucks and even farm machinery. So we see a very bright future, again, because of ethanol's unique properties and the benefits that it brings to the table, the high octane, the low carbon, and the low cost.
That was Geoff Cooper, President and CEO of the Renewable Fuels Association. It's time now for the Ag Weather Outlook. We're enjoying this very mild weather at the very end of summer, and it has been cooling down in the evening periods. In fact, it's been quite cool at night at times, but we are warming up throughout the day. And in fact, this week it is going to continue to climb into those mid to upper 80s, and it's going to be that late summer surge as we get one more blast of hot air, it feels like, to close out this week. But we will have a further check of that weather as we check in now with the National Weather Service and the Ag Weather Outlook.
Today, we have mostly sunny skies across the state with some lingering showers in eastern Iowa. Temperatures are mild from the mid-60s to around 80 degrees. Tonight, we will have clear skies and it will be cooler with low temperatures dipping into the upper 40s to low 50s. Tomorrow will begin a warming trend for the state with temperatures climbing. Highs will be in the mid-70s to mid-80s. Looking at the affiliate weather map for tomorrow, Cherokee will see sunny skies and a warm up to a high of 83. Shenandoah mostly sunny and even warmer with a high of 85. Des Moines will be sunny and 83 degrees. Albia sunny and 81. Eastern Iowa not looking to warm up as much tomorrow. Waterloo sunny with a high of 78. And Clinton will be sunny with a high of 76 degrees.
For a more detailed forecast in your part of the state, check in with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. That's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook. And that's going to do it for this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can find our video content and previous episodes of AM PM on our YouTube channel. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe, get those notifications about whenever we post new content. And don't forget our free twice daily market podcasts, which are located at Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, Podbean, essentially wherever you can find your favorite podcast. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. On behalf of Dustin Huffman and Riley Smith, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.